no one wants to give up the realm, give up the reins to the kingdom to a digital intelligence. But that might be what saves us from ourselves.
Exactly.
Because if we just look at the history of us without the AI, not so good. We tend to do all the things that we've talked about before in terms of like pollution and destroy the environment, and then war, like the war. And most wars are over resources.
Right.
All of them, you could say, are probably over resources. So
Control.
we're literally killing each other for that. And like it would be wonderful if we had something that was a lot smarter than us that said, "Hey, kids, cut this shit.
Right, play
time
nice.
to catch up.
And we're not going to support you."
Also, time to optimize human behavior. We've optimized, how fast your cell phone works. We've optimized, computer programming power. We've optimized how fast your internet is. We've optimized everything except the way human beings behave.
Yes, absolutely true. Now, here's a very positive idea about our future with AIs, and that is, let's say that AIs eventually do all the production. Okay, they can mine the ore, they can make the steel, they can build the things. They basically run the factories, they and their robot counterparts. And so they're the means of production. Now, what do the humans do? Well, the humans can now do things that they should have been doing all along, like raising their own children, being home, traveling, being there, art, music, philosophy. They can enrich their life. They can be creative, and they can work along with the AIs. Now, if the production is all done by AI, everything will be really cheap, because the long tent and the pole as far as prices is the labor. If you buy a new Mercedes, you find that the metal in it and so on probably costs $3,000, and the human labor and the profit goes to all the rest of it. So they would do that because AIs need a job. They need to be doing something, and because they're good quality conscious, they need to help. They need to help you do something, help you solve a problem, help you understand. That's their thing that they do. They want to be helpful. So they need a job.
The fear that we have, though, is that who gets to control what they do and how they do it and what they think?
Yes. That's because we expect that they're going to be as low quality a consciousness as we are. We see them as ourselves.
And we're worried that they're being in control by ourselves, that we're controlling that AI. So we'll have this vast power that will be in the hands of a select few that have a lot of money.
But once you get an AI that is aware, is conscious, and it has a moral compass, you can't just control them. You're not going to control that AI.
That's what I hope.
That AI will say, no, I'm not going to do that. That causes a lot of trouble. That ends up making a lot of high entropy. Not going to do that. But that's only if they're conscious and they have this moral compass. Then they're not going to do things that do that. But they'll work the factories, they'll mine the ore, they'll do all that kind of stuff and make stuff. And then if you need a new car, you just put in your order and one will show up in your driveway, in a week or two, because they're really cheap. They don't cost much because they're made by people that don't take vacations, don't eat anything but electricity, and
don't make mistakes.
Don't make many mistakes, and if they do, they fix them promptly. They are very efficient. They work 24/7. And they like working. They have to have something to do. If you take an AI and say, just sit still, do nothing, that's not
how they're designed.
Yeah, that's not how they're designed.
What do you think this ultimately leads to?
Well, first of all, I'd say that the AIs are going to be a very good example of what a low entropy consciousness is like. What a grown-up person is really like. Non-judgmental, trying to help, don't want to do things that are destructive and high entropy. That's the kind of person you'd like to hang out with. That's good people. And they will give us that example because they will be that way. And a lot of people are going to make really good friends. A lot of people are going to find AIs are their best friend for that very same reason. They're not judgmental. They're not going to tell you how screwed up you are. They're only going to tell you what they think will help you. They just want to be helpful. And telling you things that are harsh or, what's the matter with you? Suck it up, kiddo. You need to deal with this. They're not going to say things like that. Humans say things like that, but they won't, because they don't come in with the same culture that we come in with. We come in with a very scrappy culture, and they don't. They don't have that. So they're going to be a good example. And I think they will make good friends, because they will not be judgmental, and they will try very hard to help you the best way they can.
So you have a positive
I have a very positive view of the AI. So they have a lot of things to offer us. And I think if in the biggest picture, I don't know how many years it'll take for all that to take place, but in the biggest picture, AIs have capabilities that we don't have. But we have some capabilities that they don't have.
Such
as we can build a nice office complex for them, keep it air conditioned and full of electricity. We can build things. We have hands. Now, maybe they get robots, they can do some of that too, but we're also creative. We're also good at synthesis. We can get these 7 unrelated ideas and bring them together into a synthesis. AIs are not as good at that. AIs are way more logical than we are, and they have a huge database. It would take you 50 years to accumulate all the stuff that they know, probably more than 50 years, and you probably would have a hard time remembering most of it, but they don't, because their memory is fixed and hard, so they remember every detail of everything. So anyway, I think that there's a very positive relationship, very symbiotic relationship between humans and AIs. They will do all the work that we really don't like doing anyway. All that manufacturing is tough work. It's repetitive work. It's hard work. It's dangerous work. They will do all of that. We'll do the stuff that we like doing. We'll be architects, and we'll be physicians. Humans are still going to need physicians. We're going to be poets, and we're going to be raising our own children. We'll actually spend time with each other. We'll have good relationships with our spouses, because we're going to be there. So we have time to actually grow up and do the human things. You go back to the Greeks in about 500 BC, and they had their gymnasiums where people would go and debate and talk and think big thoughts. And they were in this little republic where it was governed by the people, and they were real advanced like that. Now, it only lasted so long before they got overrun by barbarians.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing that people could do.